You completed your first Ironman while battling thyroid cancer. Saying that in one statement to me, it almost takes my breath away.
The good part about that, Joanna, was I did not know I had thyroid cancer. So I didn't find out until 3 days after I completed the Ironman that I actually had it. And I stomped around like a toddler in the ENT's office and said, I don't have it. I just did an Ironman. If there's one thing I can leave with your listeners, build your collaboration of friends and colleagues where you live. I didn't have to go find people to work in my practice. Like they came in droves. I had made the deposits in the bank of connection so that the withdrawals could be taken out, not leaving me in the red.
Welcome back to The Story Project, a podcast where we explore the stories of the incredible women in dentistry and connect on leadership, resilience, and becoming. Today's guest is someone who embodies grit in the truest sense of the word. Dr. Ann Bynum is a board-certified pediatric dentist, a national speaker, and the founder of Holly Tree Pediatric Dentistry, and the Tot Spot of South Carolina. But what matters more than her titles is how she's approached the hurdles given to her in life with a tenacious spirit and grit. We all love some good grit. Dr. Ann Bynum, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Joanna. Hello, everybody.
Our team at Studio 88 has already been raving to me behind the scenes about Anne and just her personality and her story. And so we're thrilled that we get to work on a really fun project with your practice.
We're looking forward to it too. We've got everybody, going to get their spray tans done
Yeah.
and everybody will be ready. They'll have their fresh extensions and nails and we'll be good to go.
Amazing. Awesome. And I think your content session, is it in April?
It's in April.
Okay. Okay. Good. Well, it's coming up. That's going to be so fun. Okay. I always like to start these podcasts just with a little fun icebreaker, table talk questions, just to allow our audience to get to know you a little bit better. What's your favorite way to spend time with your family?
It's going to sound horrible. Let's be clear. All of my children are grown and above age 21, but we love to go to all inclusives and hang out in the pool and have people bring us drinks.
Oh, that sounds
That's like our
awesome.
favorite thing to do. Or go to a sporting event. I would say those are our top two.
Both of those things sound great. Maybe the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite book to read
Ooh.
or to
So I
even reread?
just so I'm a huge reader. If anybody follows me on social media, I post every book I read, whether it sucks or not. And then I always pick like my favorite book of the year. So what's top of mind right now is my favorite book, my favorite fiction book of 2025 was The Measure. My favorite nonfiction book of 2025 was Hidden Potential.
Okay.
So those would be the two that are like top of mind right now. And I've taken lots of notes in Hidden Potential, and then I'm really thinking about The Measure. Did you read that book, Joanna?
I haven't, but I'm looking for a good fiction. I kind of need to like disconnect from work.
It is a great book that is when you don't want to put down. It's relatable. It makes you think about your life. So if you ask me my favorite TV show or movie, I'd be stumped right now. But books, I can definitely do books.
Amazing. My daughter and husband are avid readers, both fiction, nonfiction. So those are just the measure. I'll put that on my like top of my list for sure. That's awesome.
Good.
Who gives you the best advice?
Ooh. Believe it or not, one of my very best friends, our kids grew up playing karate together. And when she wanted to transition to a different career, we hired her here at our practice. I'm her boss, which is super weird, but she is my best friend and she tells it to me straight. And she used to only be able to comment on my personal life. And now that she works here, she sees everything in the petri dish and she can be extremely real with me about things. So just, having that person that loves you and is being real with you about your marriage or your practice or how you're handling something in life is like if you can not be defensive and listen to that, that's how you grow.
I couldn't agree more. Like honest, authentic feedback from someone that you trust is everything. It can be
Only has my
hard.
best interest in mind.
Yeah,
Like obviously wants to keep a job here, so she doesn't want to see me, burn the place down and
right.
all
Yeah.
that. So. Yes.
Okay. Last one. If you had more time to spend on a hobby, which would you choose?
I say these two things. Obviously, I'm lying about them, but I really would love to learn a second language. I
Mm.
had 5 years of Spanish, and I can just barely get a kid to open their mouth in Spanish and close their mouth and whatever.
Yeah.
And the second thing is my grandmother was a piano teacher,
Oh,
and I grew up learning piano. So, I mean, both of those I know it's a scratch under the surface. And if I would practice and I could probably do both of them well. So if I had time, I do think when when they're rolling me into the villages or Rolling Green or wherever I'm gonna, land as a senior citizen, I'd probably like to take up piano or learn to speak a language better.
yeah. I love that. I'm with you. I took Spanish also, and I have some friends that are, Spanish speaking, and also we have a good amount of our team that is Spanish speaking, and it's their first language. And I try to practice as much as I can, but I'm just missing gaps. So like, it's hard to complete like full sentences and everything. And I just need to go
I'm
back
just
and
in
do,
awe of that. I'm
yeah,
just in awe of that, of people who can flip a language and so, like I feel like that is such a I mean I'm a constant learner and so I think that just
yeah,
impresses.
totally. Yeah, I completely agree. Well, that was fun. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
so let's segue. I'm excited to hear about your journey kind of into dentistry. So what drew you into dentistry, specifically pediatric?
So I was really interested in the other part of the body. I wanted to be a OBGYN.
Oh,
And I thought that that's what I wanted to do. I obviously had watched too much television at the time and saw, doctors spanking babies' butts and handing these cute infants off to their mothers, and everything was just happy, happy, joy, joy. And when I started college at Florida State, HIPAA wasn't that big of a whatever. You could just literally go shadow people. So I went and shadowed my mom's doctor, and in about half a day, I was in panic mode because I had already started all these science credits, and I was like, this is a lot. I mean, prolapsed vagina. I'd never heard of prolapsed vagina. I'd never seen one, and now he's fixing one, and then he's telling other people that they've got endometriosis and they're probably not going to be able to have children. And I that was so not on my radar, and I had to pivot really fast. And then, it's one of those tell God your plans and watch him laugh. Well, at the time, I was trying to work off my tuition at Florida State, and I was assisting the dentist on campus to work off my tuition right under my nose, right? Right
wow.
under my nose. So
Yeah.
he mentored me and he said, "What? You'd be perfect at this." I was also the kid that, I mean, I got more whippings because I wouldn't get in the dental chair as a child than any other whipping I got in my life. That's weird. I also did almost every single science project on teeth. That's weird. So
Interesting.
like, I don't know that all
Yeah.
these weird seeds were planted. And so I had the credits so dentistry for sure. By the time I was a third year dental student, I went to University of Iowa. We did everything in blocks. So you did like 5 weeks of dentures. And I thought, this is horrible. I hate this. 5 weeks of root canals. I could never do this another day. I don't like this at all. And I started, and my very first block was pediatric dentistry. And
Hmm.
I watched a professor turn this 4-year-old whiny brat into a perfect patient. The dentistry did not turn me on. The behavior techniques
Hmm.
to get in that kid's head turned me on. And I kept thinking about that. And every other rotation, I was like, still thinking about that thing. So halfway through my third year, I threw all the chips in and said, I'm gonna apply. And also another God thing, my boyfriend at the time, now my husband and father of our three children, we were babysitting for a pediatric dentist who had come to the United States from Australia with their three children. And we were keeping their kids on the weekend so they could go visit Chicago and Omaha and all these other cities. And when it was over, he said, "Why don't you come to Australia your senior year and do a little externship?" So again, right place, right time,
Yeah.
connections made. I went and did that, and I was like, "This is me. This is what I'm doing. I love this."
Oh, wow. So multiple things pointing
Multiple
you.
things.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's incredible.
But at the time, Joanna, you don't see those multiple things, right? You're
Mhm.
just like living in that minute and like, is it the
Sure.
right decision? Then you can look back when you're a smarter, older version of yourself and
Yeah.
go, this path was being fiddled out for years. I
Yeah.
just, nobody sent me the, no one sent me the invite to it yet.
Right. No, it's amazing how when we look back on the younger versions of ourselves in those seasons, how often we just don't see how there were 10 signs pointing you to the thing you were supposed to do, right in front of your face, the stars aligned, and we just
Yeah.
when you're in it, you miss it so often.
Yeah. Head down.
Yep, head down because we're busy.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, what was it like? So you is Holly Tree Pediatric, is that your first practice and was that a startup?
Yes, ma'am. Start
Okay.
up. Piece of dirt. Piece of dirt.
Amazing. So were you building that? What was the first year? Like, was it in the late 1990s or when did you?
It was 1996 when we bought the
Okay.
property and we
Okay.
opened in 1997. You heard me reference my husband. He's a general dentist, so we are in the same building, but we are like two halves of a shoebox. He's got this half of the shoebox and I've got the other half.
Wow, that is very cool. That's awesome.
Someday.
That's great. And then he can be your number one referrer, right?
And vice versa. And
Yeah,
vice versa.
that's awesome. Well, so tell me, what was it like building a practice in the late 1990s as a woman?
So I've thought about that because I knew that was going to come up because we are, talking with, women and success and execution and all the things. And I don't think it was so much that I was a woman and it felt weird that way. It was that when I look back, there was no internet. There was no digital course to take to tell me how to write a business plan. There was no cell phone to just pick up and call somebody or text somebody. It was literally trial by fire. And I think when I look back at it, I think, well, gosh, I didn't have a personal financial statement yet. I had no assets. All I had was liabilities. So there was nothing that could be taken from me. I almost feel like starting something later in life does freeze you longer because you're like, oh, they could take my house, they could take my car, my reputation would be tainted. When you're
Yeah.
starting out fresh, I didn't have the wherewithal to see it then, but looking back, I'm like, I had nothing they could take.
Yeah.
I didn't own anything yet. I wasn't anybody, not that I'm anybody now, but it was almost refreshing that I was a baby doctor and I was learning along the way. I will say I am in Greenville, South Carolina, and 30 years forward now, we are very different. But yes, 30 years ago, it was the good old boys club.
Hmm.
And I had a few people at some different study club meetings have a talk with me about my place in the community.
How did that
And
talk go?
I just listened and nodded and took it as a grain of salt. And it was, but people don't like change, right? So here we were not from the area. We were not going to place amalgams, which was very counter whatever at the time. And we weren't going to accept dental insurance. And we built a brand new building.
Okay.
So we were,
So a lot
I
of
think
first.
a lot of fear goes into people when you come busting up into a place ruffling feathers. And our goal was not to ruffle feathers. Our goal was to take care of people and provide for our own family. And,
Mhm.
some of those people came around and, we're friends now. And I mean, and then when I was in my third year of practice here was when the very first class of dental students, I can't remember what school it was, flipped to a 51% class female ratio. So it's, I don't want to say it was a factor. I remember hearing things about it, but it
Yeah.
didn't stop me. It
Yeah.
didn't stop.
That's awesome. I think it's been so incredible just all of the women practice owners that I, speak with and hear their stories and we have conversations. Just when you look at the 80s and 90s, the women that were really paving the way and doing startups, I mean, it was very pivotal for the entire profession. And really just even in so many ways, from the stories I've gathered and the women that, even have were paving the way, even, graduating dental school in the late 1970s. I mean, boys club is an understatement. They could barely get, a bank to give them a loan. And it's so extraordinary, even you're referencing all of the tech and everything we have now that make our lives so convenient and easier, but none of that was there, which just made, whether you are a woman or not, yes, that makes all of that so much harder to figure out and do successfully and build the foundation of your practice. But I think it's extraordinary that you did that in the late 1990s, and didn't give up
You're
and
right.
pushed
A
through.
lot of women did pave that path. I mean, you're right. If you interviewed somebody from the 70s or 80s, their struggle was a lot more real probably than mine. Like that path got paved earlier. I do remember classmates that were pregnant and teachers saying, things they shouldn't be saying about, women being pregnant and in school but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're heading in the right direction, which I think is really positive and encouraging to see all those awesome bright-eyed young women entering dental school. And, it's incredible that that percentage has shifted so much.
Right. And you can do it. You definitely can do it. If you want to start your own practice, you can. If you want to be a mom at the same time, you can. Everything is figure outable. Marie Forleo, if you don't know her, she has a great book.
Yes.
Everything is figure outable, and it
Yes.
truly is.
I agree. I agree 100%. So I want to definitely segue a little bit and spotlight a few pretty significant milestones and achievements and very big trials and things you've been through on the personal side of who the human Anne is. And you completed your first Ironman while battling thyroid cancer. So that is saying that in one statement to me, it almost takes my breath away because I'm not even sure how one does something like that. Tell us a little bit of just the glimpse of what that was like for you, just some of that story.
Sure. So that was in 2009, the end of 2009. And the good part about that, Joanna, was I did not know I had thyroid cancer. So I didn't find out until 3 days after I completed the Ironman that I actually had it. And I stomped around like a toddler in the ENT's office and said, I don't have it. I just did an Ironman. Like
Wow.
my brain did not register.
Yeah.
How could I be sick? How could I be a cancer patient and do what I just did? It didn't connect for me. But I was having testing done. It's a long story, but it was found the swollen lymph node in my neck was found while looking for something else, while looking for a dead gallbladder. It showed up on a scan. I had it biopsied, thought nothing of it, went and did my race, and came back, and the pathology on it was metastatic thyroid cancer. So, not just thyroid cancer that had spread around and was like living in some penthouse over here on the right side of my neck. And it was more, I think when you're in it, and I understand everybody's different, I'm very empathetic to anybody who's dealt with some major illness and you're trying to do all the things. But at the time, it was survival mode. And I had 3 young children and I had a full-time practice and I was the only doctor in the practice. And my husband's the other doctor. So is he going to come along and snivel with me while I go through all of like figuring out those logistics and moving parts
Mm.
was a lot more trying to me than, okay, this is thyroid cancer. It's not going to kill me. I'm going to be fine. I felt okay about all of that. But luckily, if there's one thing I can leave with your listeners, build your collaboration of friends and colleagues where you live. I did not have to, I get almost emotional thinking about it because I didn't have to go find people to work in my practice. Like they came in droves. They came in droves to keep the doors open to my practice while I went and dealt with this garbage that was going on. And I have my parents here, thankfully, that were dealing with the kids. But when I look back, the thing I'm the most grateful for is that I had made the deposits in the bank of connection so that the withdrawals could be taken out, not leaving me in the red.
Mm. What did that season teach you about fear?
I don't know if it taught me about fear, but I don't like leaning on other people at all. I don't like talking about my accolades. I want to pivot and talk about you and what you've done. I don't know. I just listened to a podcast. Ed Milet just interviewed somebody, and she said you can't have imposter syndrome unless you've done something really good that you could feel like you're an imposter of, right? And
Yeah.
that's so true. So I think it taught me that I don't have it all figured out, and you have to lean on other people in anything that you do in life. Like that's why you're married, right? You can't, the plan wasn't for you to raise hopefully you're not raising your kids on your own. That was never what was intended. I'm not supposed to do dentistry in a vacuum. I need a village, if you will, to do all that with. So it did teach me that I have to let my guard down. I have to be transparent. I have to show that I need other people, which I don't like saying that even out loud.
Yeah,
But it is very true. We can't get to the end of life without others. We're not supposed to.
absolutely. I mean, we're hardwired for connection with all the books and all the teaching and you have Brene Brown and all the science and research out there. I mean, it's absolutely 100% true. That's why we crave community. And then when you have it, it's wonderful during the wonderful times. And then through those hard times, you realize the depth of that community. I have found the same thing when I'm in the low lows, and then those friends that pop up and they are there regardless. And there's no shame, there's no judgment, there's just love. I mean, it it's actually like life-changing.
And to add on to that, some of the people you thought, I would imagine, Joanna, were gonna show up, didn't.
Yeah.
And you have to gracefully let that go as a season of your life. Love that person for who they are and what capacity they had to show up or not show up. And then I had other people who were, sending me Bible verses every day. I mean, people who I mean, just random patients in my practice who now I adore because they showed up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my
Weird.
gosh. Well, so any type of cancer has such an impact on your body, and obviously you were the type of thyroid cancer that you had sounds extremely severe and invasive. How did that change your relationship with your body and, resilience or maybe the view of your body throughout that time?
Well, I think it started with where we started talking about it. How did I just do an Ironman? How was I at the healthiest peak of my life
Yeah.
and I have cancer? So, just when you think, maybe the person with the highest A1C in the room is going to outlive you. You don't know. You don't know what kind of plans God has for you. Also, anybody who's listening to this who has been through cancer, for those first couple years, any little ache, pain, uh, hangnail, whatever, I got cancer of the fingernail, it's taking me out. Like your head, you're kind of in this headspace for a little bit that it's coming back to get you again, right? And getting through that that's a little mental test for you. But I think I've always been about my health. I've always tried to take, what's the next supplement? Am I getting my creatine and my protein and my macros and all these things? And I do think I'm an Enneagram 3, I'm an achiever, actually an overachiever for myself. And I think that that is my therapy. That I don't want to go sit on a couch with you for an hour because I'm going to be looking at my watch going, I got to get out of here. Like I have things to do. This is not moving me forward to vomit my stuff on you. My therapy is my sauna, my treadmill, you know, taking care of myself. And I know cancer can still come for me again. I'm fully aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, what did you stop apologizing for when you came through to the other side and you're an official cancer survivor? What did you stop apologizing for?
I'm not sure I don't think it's really related to the cancer part of it, but as I've gotten more successful, that's a hard word to use because you feel braggadocious, or I feel braggadocious using a word like that. But as I have become more successful, I am not apologizing for my success because if you look at that little duck swimming on top of the pond, his feet are going 10,000 miles a minute underneath. And that's me. So the success is, everything that's underneath that iceberg, right? And everyone on the top gets to just observe the iceberg and thinks it just showed up one day. And I don't apologize for that anymore, especially because I live in the space of mentoring other young new baby doctors, and I want to see them, move the needle and shorten the learning curve on their careers and be successful. And don't apologize for the hard work you're putting in. Everybody else is going home when the lights get shut out here, and I'm, taking my laptop home, and I'm, trying to watch something with my husband on TV while I'm answering an email, or, interviewing somebody on the weekend. So I think not apologizing for, I don't want people to ever think success just comes to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's people say you're lucky. Luck means learning under correct knowledge. And I have learned under correct knowledge for a very long time, and I still do.
That's awesome. Success is not handed to you. I couldn't agree more. I mean,
Mm.
true success, you have to really go for it. And there's so much of it behind the scenes, the grind. Like we talked about grit earlier. I mean, you just we're in our 12th year, with Studio 88, and you have your highs and lows and the years where you're like, wow, this is just, we're soaring to new heights. And then you have those other years where the grind that you don't post on Instagram,
Right,
and that's,
right,
yeah, like it's not on your feed. The times when you want to just kind of like go, what the heck? Um,
right.
yeah, yeah.
And some days I do. I want to board the place up and get rid of everybody. And other days I'm like, I love this. I miss this.
Yes.
And I do know, some people my age, they sell their practices because more times than not, I hear, I'm sick of dealing with the people and the hiring and the firing and the whining and the bitching. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I love the people. I love the HR side of this. I will stay in it. I love that more than picking up the handpiece. I love pouring into young people, be it a dental assistant making $14 an hour or a new associate doctor that wants to buy this place one day. That's what I love.
It's incredible. We're up to 50 team members now, and the amount of, and our almost entire team is full of creative millennials and then Gen Z. So I'm one of the ancient people on the team.
Called an OG. You're an
I'm an
OG,
OG,
okay?
I'm an
Yeah.
OG for sure. But we have most of our team is 20s and 30s, and uh, my husband Josh really his true passion and calling in life is to pour everything he can into leading creative millennials.
Hmm.
It has more to do with leading that demographic, of creatives than it does even all of the services we provide. Like that's his true like personal calling, and which has led us to where we are today, of course. But how do you pour into your team? Like what does that look like?
Ooh. I think a lot of different ways. There's 31 of us here. There is one
Oh,
male
wow.
on our team, one male doctor. Everybody else is a female. And flexibility. I think that is the number one thing that we provide here for our team. Everyone's paid very well. Everyone is loved and respected. We have 5 core values here that we dig into very deeply, and we show those every day to each other. But if somebody walks in here right now and says, "Oh my God, I just found out they moved a baseball thing and it's going to be tomorrow at 3 o'clock," we're going to move heaven and earth for that person to get there. Like they're not going to miss that.
That's awesome.
And I don't care if it's your third aunt from your second cousin that passed away. If you were super close with them, that
Mhm.
is bereavement to you. You may hate have a horrible relationship with your own mom or dad, but if it's this like special person that you need to be there for that,
Mm.
right? So I think that we really are super flexible. And when people say, "Oh, I can make $1 more over at such and such place," yeah, you may make $1 more over there, but when you really need to be at that gymnastics meet, or you need to, the award ceremony that you forgot was on the schedule, you're not going to go probably. It's probably not going to happen. I would say that's one thing that we do and we've done since we started is we do an advance, and it's 3 days long. A retreat means go backwards, so we call it an advance. It's 3 days long. They have no idea where they're going until they get in the car, and they belong to us for 3 days, and we pour into them personally and professionally. Lots of fun things that we do, but lots of like working on the practice, working on each other, building skills to learn each other more. Obviously, as you scale, I mean, you can get to the point where you pass people in the hall and you're like, oh my God, what was her name again? I know, who was that? And we
Yeah.
don't want to let that happen, right? That's what you hear when businesses scale is that you lose
Yeah.
all of that.
Hmm.
And we work really, really hard to not lose that here. We do team building every other month. We pay them to take a belly dancing class, take a pottery class, learn about pelvic floor health. I mean, whatever it is, we choose that. I don't know. We want them to grow. Tons of leadership opportunities in our practice. We have tiers, we have team leads, we have clinical leads, admin leads. So lots of ability to grow here. It's not just like you come in. I mean, our COO of Holly Tree Pediatric Dentistry started here at age 19 as a dental assistant.
Oh, wow.
And now she's a badass she was a trainer for Dentrix for almost 10 years. She goes to ADOM now. She now works for a consulting firm and she's still our COO,
That is
right?
awesome. That is awesome.
So
Gosh,
I'd say those are a few things.
that's amazing. Um, Tell us a little bit just about the TOT program that you have within your practice.
Sure. So back in 2012, had a patient in my practice with her kids, and she was having her second child. Her one daughter was a patient here as a dental patient, having the second child. And she said, if this second child is born with a tongue tie, will you do it? And I was like, looked at her like she had three heads. I'm like, no, I'm not doing, I don't know. She said, well, I know your husband has a laser. I was like, ew, okay, no, still not doing it. So she took the second kid down to Jacksonville, Florida, took the first kid to Columbia, South Carolina, second kid to Jacksonville. After having two kids with tongue ties and needing frenectomies, she completely changed her career and went back to school to be a lactation consultant. And
Mm,
owns a private practice. She has five therapists now that work for five lactation consultants that work for her. So she was so passionate about it because she saw how it changed the trajectory for her children. So she brought me these breastfeeding journals one day, which, I'm not like lining up to read breastfeeding journals as a pediatric dentist. And she brought them and I looked through them and I was like, shit, this is real. This is like missed. This was missed in school. And I called her and I said, I'm interested. I'll learn. I want to learn this. I want to help your patients. I don't want them going to 2 hours away with a newborn to fix this. And I went down the rabbit hole and I educate them. There were no YouTube videos to learn the procedure. Were no courses available.
mm,
So we called 2012 to 2014 the Wild Wild West. I was like learning on the job. We were collaborating together for best outcomes and then in 2014 a myofunctional therapist and speech therapist and feeding therapist moved to town and said, "Will you do some of the older patients?" So that's where then I was like, okay, I need to develop this into its own practice. So in 2014, I started the TOT spot. TOT stands for Tethered Oral Ties. So the TOT spot of South Carolina, and it runs inside of this building and it runs tandem with the pediatric practice. So today, I've done some restorative, I've done some checkups and seen some new patients. And then I put on my other hat and I've seen three babies this morning that needed frenectomies.
it's incredible. Wow. Uh, I have so much admiration and just like gratitude for you and others like you who have created just kind of like a niche branch of their practice and who are helping these young babies because both my kids had tongue tie, but I have a 19-year-old and a 15-year-old. Back then, I knew nothing about it. You know,
Sure.
our dentist wasn't, talking about it at the time. And so nursing was practically impossible for me because of it. So it's crazy how it just impacts uh so many things, the mother, the baby, and it's just liberating. And it's, talking with you and other doctors, it's not even this invasive procedure, and yet it's like life-changing for them.
Right. It sucks. I mean, that's a pissed off baby for a minute and a half,
I
but
bet.
we love them through it. And it is, you're right. It's one of the dads today said, "You've told me all the positive things. Tell me something negative."
Mm,
I said, "I don't have anything negative to tell you." I said, "If there was negative things, I would be like run out of town on mommy groups on Facebook." I
yeah,
said that there is nothing that negative that could come of doing this.
yeah. Wow. Um, well, it's incredible. You're helping babies all the way from newborns. I mean, right? Because they do them as young as like,
Yes, I had a
right?
5-day-old today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So right, basically, well, so really quick, how was that discovered? Did the 5-day old did they bring the child to you or
So I only see people on referral. So you have to be under the care of a lactation consultant or a myofunctional therapist or a feeding, whatever your issue is, right? And they're doing the intake. They're figuring out like what are your issues and taking the deep dive and then going, I suspect it's a tongue tie, frenectomy, blah, blah, blah. Then they get referred to me. So again, collaboration, right? I stay in my lane. I
yeah.
don't know anything about nursing. I don't know how to help you do any of that, right? I didn't go to school for that.
Hmm.
So a huge collaboration. That a lot of work gets done on the front end. I do the release, get to meet the family. They go back to the lactation consultant to get some, more help with nursing afterwards. But when it's a 5-day old, it's usually a second or third child in the family. And the mom's like, yep, call so and so. We know there's a problem here.
She knows. Yeah.
They know. They
Yeah.
know by that point.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you speak nationally, and I can't wait to be in the audience one day and get to hear you. I hope that happens soon, maybe this year.
Oh
But
my God.
tell me a little bit about what you love about really like lifting up, the profession, the colleagues around you, the other, like you call them baby doctors.
Mhm.
Why does that kind of light that spark inside of you?
I think because when I think about all the courses I've attended, Joanna, think about your teachers, right? It may not have been the sexiest subject in school, but it was your teacher that taught that subject that made you love that subject. And I feel the same way about what I do. I just always try to make my delivery fun so the information sticks. And I think they've done plenty of studies that show the information sticks when you make it fun. If someone's just reading notes to you or reading off their PowerPoint slides, that's annoying to me. I've taken time away from my practice so you can read to me. I can sit at home and read to myself. So I just find that I want to, and I said it earlier, I love to move the needle for people and I want to shorten their learning curves.
Mm.
And that's just always been part of me. When Matt and I started this practice from scratch and didn't know what the hell we were doing and somehow succeeded at it, we got picked up by Patterson Dental to go around the country and speak in dental schools on how to start a scratch practice. And that was my first taste of I can teach you what to do in a faster way than I did it. That's why I love to teach on frenectomies and tongue ties because I was slogging along in 2012 trying to figure out how do I do 3 operatives and a recall and work this baby in and what are the medical codes and right, I didn't know any of it, but now guess what? I have the recipe book for that and I can help you. So I just always get out of my head by the time I'm on stage. People are like, "Oh, you're so nervous." I'm like, "I'm not nervous at all. I'm here to deliver like information and a message, and I
Hmm.
want it to be fun. I want it to be exciting. I always put up a slide with chicken nuggets on it in my lectures and say, "These are nuggets. If you don't go home on Monday with one of these nuggets, I have failed you.
Yeah.
I have taken you away from your spouse, your family, your practice. You're staying in a nice hotel. It's expensive." So I just tell myself that like I've got to deliver or shame on me.
Yeah. What would
And
you
you have
say?
to execute on Monday or shame on you.
Yeah, right. Well, they have to take that knowledge and information and content you're sharing and then
Right.
apply it to their practice or whatever they're working on. Yeah,
Right.
that's awesome. Well, I am manifesting that I'll be in the audience one day, cheering you on and just soaking up all the good stuff. So,
Thank
uh,
you.
what would you say to the woman that feels the women or the woman in dentistry who feels um, kind of like she's stuck right now, and maybe she feels overwhelmed in her practice or in her systems or with her team, whatever it is. Because I think that feeling comes to all of us as mothers, as women, as, wearing all of the hats that we wear in life. Um, what just kind of words of encouragement would you say to her?
So I think misery does love company. So I think if you can pour into another woman and say, I've been there, I see you. I see you. I know what it was like to have one kid. I've got the wrong shoe on this kid, and this kid's pulling on my leg and doesn't want to go into class, and I'm trying to see my patients, and someone's calling because my kid bit somebody. Like dealing with kids, that's a whole season in itself. Marriage is tough. Marriage is really hard. Anyone who says it's not is a liar. So I think just telling another woman that I see you
Mm.
and that it's a season. It's not going to last forever. And if you let it last forever, then that is on you. So find like we've already talked about this whole podcast, like finding your people that are going to pour into you. Never get somebody who's going to come onto your side and bash your husband with you. Don't
Mm.
do that. That is not helpful. That may feel good at the time, but that is definitely not helpful. You're complaining about a teacher, don't let them come on board and do that. They need to be your problem solver. Your friends around you need to help you get out of this thing, not help you stay stuck in this thing. So I think those are, I see you, but I'm going to be real with you and
Yeah.
we're going to find some solutions.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard this. I think it might have been Brene Brown or a similar author, but she talked about how often empaths get extremely impacted, right, by others' turmoil, negative energy, and they actually um, um, empath, like an empath without an awareness or an empath that hasn't done the growth, they'll just crawl down in the hole with the person, and then they're
Yep.
stuck, And
Both
so.
of you in the foxhole.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, everybody's stuck and feeling helpless. So I love that so much. I mean, that's truly what we as women are called and meant to do is to help each other not feel isolated and siloed. And I just appreciate you sharing so authentically and just your story on this podcast because I know so many aspects will resonate with different women because we all had different stories and different journeys and big mountains to climb. So thank you so
I
much.
do worry about the women who I feel like the women that can put their story out on Facebook and ask for help are in a better place. But for every one of those women, there's probably five more
Yeah,
who don't feel like they have a person. So I would just leave this with if go find a person to talk to.
yeah,
Like don't suffer in silence.
yes.
Because somebody out there will see you and somebody out there has been through whatever scenario you have, it's probably not the first time it was on planet Earth.
It's so true. Well, and I can, leave us with this. We both were a part of the Dental Entrepreneur Women's Retreat this past year. I know I go every year. That was your first year, and there are whether it's due or it's another community. There are so many communities that open up their arms and welcome women. And so there's a spot for all of us out there for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Anne, for being here. I know you're so busy, and I just appreciate you chatting with me
Not so
today.
busy.
Well, I think you are, I'm guessing. I love also that you're an Enneagram 3. I'm an 8.
Oh,
But out of my top 5, like Clifton strengths, my second one is achiever. So I relate very much to the drive inside of you that never turns off.
what's your husband?
Yes. My husband's an Enneagram 3. So we are 3 and 8. So we are
I'm
like,
married to an eight.
oh, girl. Well, we could do a couple's dinner,
Welcome to
and
the club.
it probably would feel like therapy because 8s and 3s together, they're like fantastic and also like
Uh-huh.
sometimes. Yeah. We're dynamic duos and we are both forces. Uh both of those two. I mean,
Hmm.
8s have the highest energy out of all the types. Uh and so I've grown a lot and learned a lot. I have to like be intentional with that energy
Right.
and how I show up and how I enter the room. So, yes.
Cool. Very cool.
We'll have to talk about that next time, part 2.
Right? Whole
Yes.
nother episode.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you again. And thank you, Story Project. Listeners and audience, I can't wait to share this episode with you. And if you're listening right now, yay, I'm so glad that you're here. And Dr. Ann Bynum, where can people get in touch with you and follow you?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. It's Holly Tree Pediatric Dentistry or the Tot Spot, South Carolina, or you can just hunt my name and probably find me.
Awesome. Or see you on stage somewhere. I know you're going
Or
to be at the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry, that event.
Yes, I'll be speaking at that.
Awesome. Good.
And
Well, part of our team will see you there. So
yes, so
yeah,
good.
I know. Well, this is the Story Project podcast, and just a gentle reminder that your story isn't finished, and we'll see you next time.